So in this episode, I'm gonna journey with you and show you the ups and downs of solo parenting. In other words, single parenting as a foster dad and adoptive dad. Well, let me begin with this. It wasn't by choice. It wasn't like I woke up one day and I said, you know what? I'm gonna be a parent just by myself. No, that's not how it happened, So I come from Uganda and I grew up really, really poor. So that meant that I was always behind in everything, meaning everything. So think about I didn't go to school. Well, I went to school on and off from the age of, maybe 8 until 10, and then I didn't go to school for the next about 5 or 6 years. So I've always behind. So by the time I was in grade 3, I was way older than a regular kid, So that meant that I had to catch up and I had to jump lots of classes because, I was a little bit smart, but I figured out how to jump really quickly. When people finish high school, they're 18. For me, I was probably 22 or 23. By the time others go university, they are 18, 19. Well, I didn't go until I was 20 something. So for me, I've always been behind and always been catching up. Because of that, I did not have the privilege or I didn't have the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm gonna get married so I can catch up. No. So by the time I'm 30, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not married. I am still catching up still. Oh no, what do I do, Then I became 40. I was like, I'm not married and I want to be a dad. And that's when I figured out I'm going to be a dad no matter what. I knew how, and foster was the best way that I can do it. Once I knew I could, I was like, yes, I'm going to do it while I'm waiting to get married one day. So flip the coin in that way. I'll be a dad now, hoping that one day if someone comes and likes me and wants to get married, why not? So having been behind, I chose to do solo parenting. So there are some of you who want to be moms or you want to be dads, but you're waiting for that man to come or you're waiting for that woman to come. Here's what you can do. Actually, you can be a dad or you be a mom while you're waiting. And that's what I did. And it's been fun. Here's the fun part. That it truly gave me a sense of belonging. I belong to society. I feel like I'm impacting the world in some way by just being a dad. But also I know there are so many kids who are looking for a dad that I wanted to provide that for them. Here's the statistics in foster. Almost 90% of our kids in foster have never had a dad. Seriously, never had a dad. All my kids, I've had 42, 41 kids. None of them, maybe 1 or 2, had a dad who was stable in their lives. Most were not. And most didn't even have any at all. The other part is being solo, you can really do so many things without having to ask a million people, Fostering is hard in itself. Really, really hard. And it's a calling. And sometimes 2 couples, one really can do it, but the other is not able, or they are not at the same stage, or they are not at the same spirit, or the same really desire to be foster parent. And sometimes that holds them back because one is willing and one is not. And I can assure you, you can never force someone to do something like fostering. That will break your marriage. So for me being single, that has been really easy for me, that I take the decision myself. I decide to be a parent, that I don't have to wait on anyone. Literally, I don't have to wait on anyone. So it's really fun to make a decision. Sometimes when I get a phone call at 3 in the morning, they're like, hey, do you have space? All I have to do is let me think. Well, I usually go to my kids and ask, hey, there's a need here. What ways can we meet this need? There's a kid who needs a home and place. Can we? Are you willing to give up your room? Are you willing to share the house and your dad with another kid? And usually my kids will say yes. And so that has been really easy for me to truly, truly, truly do what I love to do. The other part as a solo dad has been really the joy of learning along the way. You don't have someone to come out teach you or they've walked it before and say, here's how things are done. You're like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. You jump in and you just go. And so it's been fun to not have so much high expectation because I don't have someone to measure up to, but I can do it as I need. I can do it as I get to learn. When I can't figure out a meal, I'm gonna Google it and find out where to cook it. I'm not really competing or feeling like someone has to teach me. I'm able to do that as well. You know, I have boys and girls. I've learned how to really be emotional, be vulnerable, and share things that I never thought I could share, that I have relearned myself. And it's really been wonderful to learn about myself and to better myself. And I would say my kids have made me a better human being. The other part is I get to have so many people that I can learn from. You know, it's not just that I'm learning for myself. Yes, I do books. I learn trauma and how to help kids in trauma, for sure. But for me, I feel like I have a lot of village that comes around my life and help me to be the better dad. So in some way, yes, I'm solo, but I have so much resource to go to. Several moms, several dads, and other social workers that get to help me to be the best dad. So being solo, it's really good. It's not bad at all, but it has some challenges. For sure, it's got lots and lots and lots of challenges. You know, here's some challenges I can share with you. As solo dad, you cannot delegate. You know what delegate means? I'm sure you do know. I'll give you an example today. I need to pick up my daughter from, you know, her activity, but also my teen needed to be somewhere for a job interview at the same time. So I'm like, oh no, how do I do this? You know? So I had to drop him an hour before so I can go get my daughter. By the time he was done, I had my daughter and we had to go. But by the time I get home, whoa, it's time to make dinner. Yes. So things pile up so quickly when you're a solo dad or solo mom because there's no one else to help. There's no one to take off. Even one little thing you need to do. Everything is reliant on you. You know, my hardest one is when kids fall sick. When you have two little ones or three little ones, when one gets sick, you don't say, well, you stay here, I'm gonna take the other. No, you know, remember, you can't leave them behind. They have to be with you at all times. So what do? I take them all. Sometimes we're at the hospital for hours. You know, emergencies, urgent care, you know, that takes hours and hours. Yes, sometimes I'm there with all my kids just sitting there because one kid is not feeling well. Do they hate it? I'm sure they do. But they've got used to it. Like, hey, one person is sick, we all have to go because we can't leave the other one behind. So that is really difficult where there's no one to say, hey, keep this little one, I'll take the other one. No, they're all gonna go. And that can be really difficult. The other part that is really tough for me as a solo dad, behaviors, you know? So when you have kids who are either throwing a tantrum and you have no one to say, hey, can you take care of this one while I'm trying to rebuke this one? Usually that's not the case. Most of the time they have to all be there to watch me just say, no, that's not acceptable. We cannot do that. You know, I love my mom. She used to say, when I'm speaking to those in hell, I hope those in heaven are listening. Meaning, this one is in trouble today, but tomorrow it might be too. You. So if you're okay, you're okay, but it might be. So it's teaching two birds, teaching with one stone, two birds. The other part, the downfall of a solo dad is when the kids are sick at night, and sometimes they can have nightmares, all of them at different times. So one goes to bed at midnight, they come. You just literally catching the first little slow snooze, and one comes like, I have a nightmare. So you take that one back. You know, that one sleeps. At 3 in the morning, another one shows up. Hey, I nightmare. I can't sleep. Well, you there for that one and take that one. And then at 5 in the morning, the little one is screaming, crying, and you go get that one, you know? So you being alone, you get to do it all. Like there's no one to say, you know, there's no one who can say, hey, can you help me here? Can you help me? No, you and you alone. The other part of being a solo dad is dads, I can say all dads, at least I'm one of those. Like I don't know how to, you know, what's the word? Multitask. Like I don't know how to do a million things while thinking of the other. Like I'm still the same guy. I think one and then I go to the next. And sometimes that's a problem for me. When you have so many kids, you need to think about all things in multiple ways in one way, you know? that literally so much can be going on and you can think about all that. For me, I don't know how to. So most time I miss out on issues, you know? So for example, you needed to make an appointment somewhere because I forgot or I wasn't thinking, you know, that went haywire. And my kids are like, Dad, I was supposed to be here. It's someone's birthday. Well, I don't know what happened, you know? So that's the one thing I really had to learn, how to multitask and also document everything, you know? Have the alarm clock, have the time, have everything on the calendar, literally. If I don't have anything or something on my calendar, there's no way it's gonna be done because I cannot remember that. The other disadvantage or the hard part of being a solo dad, sometimes you cannot take a break, you know? Sometimes we have emotions or we're not feeling well or we are mad, to be honest. But I cannot take a break and say, I need time, I'm gonna go away for an hour. No, because the other kid needs me, so I can't just go away. So you learn how to really deal with your problems, you know, deal with yourself and make sure that you are at a good spirit, good mind to take care of the next child, not to drag what happened with child B to child C. And that is the way we truly get to be solo parents, which is hard, but we do the best that we can to help them, you know? That's a tough, but I get to do that. And it's really, really awesome. Some people ask me, so how do you take care of yourself? You know, there are ways I've learned how to take care of myself. So if I need to go for a run, or if I need to go for a walk, or if I need to take a little nap so I can function later, or go to the gym, I get to do those without having to feel guilty of the things I have not done. So I've learned that to really make sure that I take care of myself, fill my cup, so I'm able to fill the cup for my kids. And that has been a joy for me to learn as a, you know, a solo dad for sure. The other things that I've learned, you know, when I became a foster parent first time, I used to worry that people would judge me like, oh no, my kids' clothes are not looking good. You know, I haven't taken a shower. What do people think about? But with time, I got to learn, like, I don't really care what others think about. If my kids are happy, they are fed, they're doing well in school, and they're excited about anything, that's all that matters. That really, I didn't have to really present myself or feel like I had to measure up to someone, you know? And that's something I really had to learn. I think after my first child, like, hey, no one knows how my kids go through. No one knows, you know, what I had to go through to be here. So I don't have to. And that really helped me to really not feel the pressure, the outside pressure towards me. Routine are important to me because they help. It becomes like a machine, you know, the kids go to bed, they eat this, you do that. The more I get to do that every time, the more mechanical it becomes in some way. Other part that I've tried to do as a man, you know, it's easy to feel you can do it all. It's easy to think, you know, I got this, you know, but I've learned how to truly ask for help. When I feel I'm overwhelmed, to be able to ask for help, like, hey, I can't figure this out. Could you help me? Or sometimes, you know, I don't know how to do things, rather than just go figure it out myself, just ask. And that has really helped me, one, to be a better parent, to learn, to be humble, and to ask when I don't know. And that has been key in helping me to truly learn how to be a solo dad without drowning, but at the same time, really doing the best I can, you know, and to make sure that I give them time and I make sure they feel they are seen, heard, and known in every way, shape, form. And as a single parent, boy, that's tough. Single parent, yes, that's tough. But we get to do it. We get to really do it and do the best we can. You know, as I told you, I'm talking, it's nighttime, because it's the best time the kids are in bed and I can function, I can think straight. It was during the day, sometimes my brain is like, woo, woo, woo. But right now I can think straight. So I just wanted to, while I'm sitting here, to truly think of ways I can tell you the challenges, the joys, and all the ups and downs of solo parenting. Hopefully you learn something, you know, hopefully you learn something, or I can teach you more about really this whole journey. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you, our village.
When I was a kid, I didn't have a place to call home, and so that's what we're trying to do here is promote those room makeovers and such to help kids find a forever home.
Absolutely. We want to do room makeovers for mostly teens and foster parents. And here's how you can help you. You can donate by clicking the link in the bio so we can do more room makeovers for teens so they feel they are heard, seen, and done. We cannot do it alone. With your help, we will truly help as many teens as we can.
Yep.